tell us about why you've chosen to come to Albuquerque today.
Why I've chosen. I was invited actually by the Baha'i Club at UNM. So actually it was through friendship. And the topic is, I think, very related to friendship. Self-discovery and service. So the Baha'i Club is I don't know how many people are in it, but now surely there will be more. So the Baha'i teachings are all based around this essential principle of the oneness of humanity. And how we reveal that oneness, how we come to recognize that oneness through engagement in community building. And one of the ways that we do this is through service. Recognizing the oneness of humanity and the essential unity of the truth in all the major world religions. People of all faiths, all backgrounds, all ages engage in this process around the world. And so I don't know what that looks like here in Albuquerque, but the Baha'is here do, and they've invited me because I'm a Baha'i in New York City, and I would like to think that maybe I've learned a little, just the tiniest little gleaning of something in my 5 years now, pulling insights from the Baha'i teachings.
So you'll talk about that tonight at UNM.
Yes.
What else can people expect that you'll speak there tonight as a preview?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think part of it is going to be a little bit of storytelling of my personal journey. I mean, I think we have to recognize that as a public figure, that's some of the pull and some of the attraction. But also, I think particularly how, for me in my period of youth, when I was college-aged and on a show like Gossip Girl, the insistent pull of the self, you know, in a sort of, I think we could argue probably a superficial and self-centered industry. Not entirely, but it has that part of it, right? It has that kind of superficial, like, concern with appearances, this sort of thing. So my struggle with and battle with self, I suppose, and how through insights from Baha'u'llah's writings that I have since been striving to orient myself towards a life of service and sacrifice.
So I think here we have a growing film industry. We have Netflix, NBC, Universal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure tonight there's going to be a lot of people who are trying to get into that industry here. Is that something that you're wanting them to take away about these teachings? What would you say to them who are trying to get in?
Well, I would say I couldn't anticipate the way that if a single heart is moved, a single mind is sparked with some curiosity, I mean, that would be an incredible blessing. I think for people who are creative, young professionals, the continual decentralization of what we call Hollywood, I think, is essential for more people to be telling stories, for more voices to be heard, you know? So it's not such a comically small segment of society representing the world back to itself, you know? That's not the way things are going to be in the future. So I think for young people living here, I hear there's a name, Tamaliwood. Is that yeah? So I think it's great that young people here are getting involved in the film industry, and I think it's really important, you know. And I mean, increasingly, the way that the internet. Have you heard of the internet?
No.
The way that the internet has changed the way we view media and just think of storytelling in general. I mean, this is like, to me, it's just a world of opportunity for young people in particular.
So you brought up Tamaliwood.
Yeah.
Would you like to be involved in Tamaliwood? What are you thinking about that?
I mean, yeah. What is that? I don't know what. I would shoot something here if it was here. I'm here for my first time making friends with people. If something in the future was to bring me into what we call Tamaliwood, but see, here's a question: is Tamaliwood a state of mind?
I think it is now.
Yeah,
I think it is now.
Yeah. So I think the spirit of Tamaliwood, which is, like I said, more centers of activity. You know, more centers of like localized industry, really representing the people of that place for themselves, you know, so that we don't have this Avengers complex where there's this very small band of protagonists. Half of them are named Chris. I love them, by the way. It's it's a fun joke that I'm sure they enjoy.
They would like that.
You know, we need to rely on ourselves for the transformation of society. And that's what I'll be talking about tonight at UNM.
Do you want to give any other basic advice to people here, New Mexicans wanting to break in now that there's big studios here?
You know, strive, believe in your capacity. Also, I mean, to me, if somebody was asking about moving to LA and wanting to be professional, I would always want to be encouraging while also realistic. The potential for someone trying to start something where they are, like in New Mexico, let's say, that is to me a totally different kind of pursuit that I would actually encourage more. I would encourage more people to make things where they are rather than going to Hollywood. So I have nothing but words of encouragement, but I don't live here, so I actually don't know what it takes. So you've in a way, you've got to be a pioneer and on this frontier of learning and just try, just learn. You will be met with a lot of apparent failures, but you'll be learning all the time, and just keep trying.
Yeah, good. I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
Can we talk about You, season 2?
Yes.
What kind of
You've got 60 seconds. I'm kidding.
What kind of conversations do you want to be started here while watching season 2?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, first of all, it's been really gratifying to see the kind of meaningful conversations people want to have around these concepts, because we're talking about things like, I mean, violence against women and the oppression of women, and things like white privilege, or at least male privilege, you know? I mean, I think the question is, why do we want to watch? Why is it so? How are we so accepting of the fun of a concept like this? Because I actually know that it's consumable, it's highly bingeable, you know, and there's a lot about it that is kind of zany almost. Like there's a certain comedy to it all, and I even like to lean into that sometimes. But consider if this story was about a woman, or a person whose skin color was not like mine, or even a person who was overweight, you know, a person who did not fit a lot of the conventional beauty standards, would we be as willing to watch? Like, you know, I mean, they seem like kind of very simple and obvious questions, but it's significant. Like, there's only a certain way we're willing to watch this behavior, and yet if it meets all of those, if it checks all those boxes, we're willing to watch almost any behavior, you know? So I think it's I think as long as we have a show that is considering these themes and it is as successful as it is, that we have a responsibility to think about it in this way. I mean, otherwise we're just sort of like normalizing and desensitizing ourselves to the same kind of like white dude who can do anything he wants, you know, for lack of a more graceful way to put it. But yeah.
The stereotypical serial killer white male.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, the serial killer is generally a white male. I mean, it's like we don't really have any other kinds of serial killers, so there's something there for another day and another time.
Can we talk about like educational pieces? When we see Ellie and Delilah talking about predatory tips about when he brings her in and says, "Don't tell anyone that you're here." Are there any other educational pieces you want people to take away from season 2?
You know, I need to learn more about the reality of even emotionally abusive relationships. Not that I've had nothing but healthy relationships in my life, but I think there's a misconception that it's only weak people who are manipulated and abused in this manner, that strong women do not suffer in this way. It's always people close to you that often can be perpetrators of abuse and violence. And so I think like the biggest question maybe, is this love? To me, the answer is obvious. No. Like, love does not equal violence. Love does not equal hate. Love does not equal murder, certainly. It does not equal stalking. It doesn't equal manipulation and abuse. So, the fact that we've seen love portrayed like this, but not followed quite to the end. You know, we have the guy standing outside of the window, but we don't have the guy breaking into the house.
Sitting in the shower.
Right, you know, so this show in a way is following the logic of love that we have according to current social norms, and in a way just reflecting that back to us and being like, yeah, that's not love. That's actually, that's not affection. That's possession, and that's abuse and manipulation. So, you know, I think to understand that maybe the ideals we have of love and relationship and even friendship, like that they've been set by this relatively small segment of society we call Hollywood, which is a state of mind, which increasingly the world has come to be in a somewhat Hollywood state of mind. So we need, this is why we need Tamale Woods all over the world, you know what I mean? I'm drawing it back kind of, but really, I mean, I think like the more young people can watch a show like this and be encouraged to think deeply about its themes, so that I'm not trying to say that this show is like doing the thing, that it's solving the issue. Not at all. It's simply, I hope, opening up a conversation for especially young people who are really like the demographic who watch it the most, and then go out into the world and have the opportunity and the time and the energy to like really transform things for themselves and their communities. That's what I think.
There's a line between cautionary and conversation.
Exactly, and I don't find this, I personally think this show is far more valuable as a conversation than it is as a cautionary tale. Maybe others would disagree, or they would simply see it a bit differently, you know, but I don't see as much value in the caution of it, because it's also not it's not a clinical portrayal of a man who's capable of this thing, you know.
Good. Oh, I saw that you went to the border. Do you want to talk about that at all?
I don't not want to talk about it. I also
we've been there back and forth, and we've been doing a series of reports on it. I mean, I saw your tweets and your Instagram videos, and you sounded pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What do I think? Well, there's a difference between immigration policy and simple matters of humanity. I don't know a lot yet about immigration policy. While it's definitely true that there are new policies that are making it harder and harder for people who are fleeing violent environments and unhealthy environments, seeking asylum here. It's a legal process. I think maybe that's one of these things that's maybe a bit confused in the public discourse, is that actually migrants are often very resourceful people. They're not like vagabonds looking for handouts or welfare. They're seeking safety and have been resourceful enough and courageous enough to find it and start a new life and a new home, and often bringing their children with them. It's often women and children, you know. So apart from policy, I think it's very much a human issue, and we need to be able to have more patient and forthcoming and forgiving conversations about this, so that we can actually like make progress, as opposed to continue to just exist on polar opposite ends of this political spectrum.
More conversations that breed change.
Yeah, I think maybe we have to believe that meaningful conversation can actually be the first step in legitimate social transformation, and that's where I think maybe we don't have faith in that. And this is for all issues maybe, and I think particularly when it comes to this crisis, you know, and it's not just one our nation is experiencing. I mean, many borders of many countries are fraught. And there's a reason, you know, we aren't yet successfully seeing ourselves as a global people, and that is core to this issue, you know. So to me, it's like, do we want to continue sticking our heads in the sand and implying that if things continue as they have been, that we'll be better off, or do we advance into a far more international and think like prosperous global society? Of course, you know, that's the implications there are huge.
I think the Mexicans would appreciate you hearing from you about what you thought about it, because it is such a topic that we talk about every day in our newscasts.
Yeah.
2 more questions before I let you go. Can you just tell us about the status of season 3?
I know nothing about season 3. I actually know nothing about it. It's coming out. That's all I know. I don't even know when. Probably 2021. You know, sorry, it's not going to be another Christmas thing. Christmas gift for you in your stocking. In your stocking. Oh, how did I just come up with that one? That's two press cycles just down the drain.
So I think with Netflix moving in here, is that the way you see the industry going? It's in Albuquerque. Is that what you see moving forward?
Yeah, it's all in Albuquerque. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be. Decentralization. It's got to be. Like, there are vested interests who will resist it. We both work for those kinds of companies. Hi, Mom, Dad. Sorry. Yeah, and there will be fits and starts. There will be crises and victories, you know, but we don't know. We just got to keep trying, you know. So it's young people. It's like people who are like 15, 20, 25. Like, don't let the convention hem you in, you know. Like make something and just get it out there. And
anything else you want to say to New Mexicans?
Yes, red or green chili. I'm asking you, New Mexico. No, I don't know the difference yet, so I'll have to try both. Okay. Is that okay?
It is.
Can we find like unity and concord amongst chilies?
That's Christmas. That's what you call Christmas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Christmas. Right. Okay.
You ask for red, green, or Christmas.
Ah. All right.
You got anything else, Rebecca?